You've got eyes on you everywhere, not just glances, tracking, analysis, silent fascination. You move, and people follow the motion without meaning to. It's in your posture, the calm precision in your face, the rhythm of someone who knows they don't have to prove a thing. You've become that person whose presence feels rehearsed by the universe itself. There's no try-hard energy, no fake confidence, no performance. You just exist with purpose, and that alone feels like dominance. Someone out there is obsessed with decoding that. They're trying to figure out how you make simple actions look like strategy, how you walk through chaos like it's a red carpet built for your focus. They've gone from watching to analyzing, from admiring to losing sleep. Because nothing about you adds up the way normal people do. Your power doesn't announce itself. It leaks through the cracks of every situation you touch. They thought they could study you like a pattern. But what they didn't understand is that power doesn't live in patterns. It lives in presence. And your presence, right now, is a psychological event. Every time you enter a space, energy reorganizes itself. People suddenly adjust their tone, their posture, their words. Some get nervous. Others start performing harder. Even the ones who claim they don't care start glancing at you for cues. You're giving off straight power vibes, not the loud kind that demands attention, but the quiet kind that rewires hierarchy without saying a word. It's not luck. It's not mystery. It's years of learning when to speak and when to observe, when to strike, and when to let silence expose everything that needs to be revealed. You've mastered the art of letting your stillness talk louder than noise. They're addicted to trying to read you. You know it. They keep refreshing your story, zooming into details, trying to interpret expressions that weren't meant for them. They'll clip moments out of context, trying to reverse engineer your psychology, hoping to discover what kind of mind operates with that much control. But that's what breaks them, the realization that your control isn't artificial. It's instinctive. It's born from losing yourself once and never allowing that to happen again. They want to understand your blueprint, but the more they stare, the more lost they get. You can always tell when someone's been staring too long. They start doubting themselves. They start mimicking your habits, your tone, your pace, thinking it'll give them power. It doesn't. It just exposes how ordinary they feel next to you. Your power has turned into a psychological maze. People enter it thinking they'll map you out, but they end up mapping their own insecurities instead. Every theory they form contradicts the last one. You post less, they call it mystery. You post more, they call it strategy. You go quiet, they call it manipulation. You speak truth, they call it arrogance. You can't lose because they've already built a narrative where you're larger than explanation. The irony? You're not trying to be mysterious. You're just focused. You don't crave validation. And in a world addicted to attention, that makes you terrifying. Because attention is how most people measure existence. When someone doesn't need it, it confuses the system. You've become that confusion in human form. Everywhere you go, eyes follow not out of curiosity, but out of instinct. There's a psychological magnetism in your composure. People feel your energy before they hear your voice. It's the calm that comes from someone who's survived humiliation, betrayal, and disappointment, and still came out sharper. You've learned how to make pressure look like polish, and that's what they can't process. They expected you to break. Instead, you evolved into proof that pain can be refined into posture. They see confidence, but what they're really seeing is someone who rebuilt themselves, molecule by molecule. That's why their minds can't rest around you. You represent something they've never mastered, control under fire. They're whispering about you in circles you'll never visit. Screenshots, group chats, speculative DMs. People who barely know you feel entitled to explain you. They're so different, one says. They've changed, another insists. But none of them have the vocabulary to describe what's really happening. You're not changing, you're crystallizing. You're stepping into full alignment with your power, and that evolution makes people uncomfortable. They've built comfort zones around your old versions. When those versions died, so did their sense of superiority. Now they're scrambling to redefine you, because if they can't understand you, they can't control how they feel about you. That's the real threat, not what you do, but how you make people feel about themselves. You've turned the idea of normal into a distortion field. Your presence forces people to self-reflect. Some are inspired, some are obsessed, some are envious beyond reason. It's all the same fuel to the machine. Because deep down, everyone who watches you is trying to answer the same question. How did you gain that level of peace without surrendering your edge? How do you command attention without asking for it? They'll spend months trying to decode your charisma like it's math and end up losing their emotional balance instead. That's the side effect of observing power without embodying it. The longer they study it, the more it breaks them. Somebody close to you has already spiraled. They thought they were smarter, thought they could manipulate the narrative. But power has a strange way of exposing weakness. The more they tried to twist your story, the more their own insecurities bled through. You never needed revenge. Their behavior handled that. They tried to psychoanalyze you from a distance, writing essays in their head about what kind of person you must be, while you quietly kept evolving. They didn't realize you were too fluid to be boxed. Every label they threw at you dissolved in motion. You didn't defend yourself. You didn't argue. You just became undeniable. That's what drives them insane. The realization that your silence is strategy, not surrender. And now, they can't stop watching. They call it curiosity, but it's dependency. Your name comes up in conversations that have nothing to do with you. Your presence lingers even when you're not there. People stalk your rhythm like data scientists dissecting an algorithm they can't replicate. They crave the confidence that you carry like skin. You move different, you talk different. Even your pauses are calculated. You've become an experience, not just a person. That's what terrifies them, because experiences change people. And once they've been around you, they can't go back to pretending mediocrity feels good. You're not even trying to dominate. You're just authentic. And authenticity is dangerous currency in a counterfeit world. Every time you walk into a room, fake energy trembles. You can feel it, the discomfort, the sudden overcompensation, the subtle glances between those who can't figure out how you keep your power unshaken. They call it arrogance because they don't know what healed confidence looks like. They say you're cold because they've mistaken boundaries for walls. But what's really happening is that they're standing too close to truth. And truth burns when you've built your life around performance. Your power doesn't come from luck or privilege. It comes from precision, the kind that's earned through repetition, failure, and rebirth. You didn't study people to manipulate them. You studied yourself until you stopped being predictable. That's why they can't decode you. Predictability is comfort for ordinary minds, and you stripped that away from them. You became spontaneous in the way only disciplined people can be. That's a psychological paradox most can't compute. The balance between control and chaos that you embody effortlessly. Now their obsession has turned clinical. They refresh your feed like medication. They rewatch your stories like security footage. They're not sure if they want to be you, expose you, or understand you. And that confusion eats at them. It's almost poetic, watching people fall into madness trying to label someone who refuses to be limited. You've become the case study of confidence. The living example that evolution can't be explained. It can only be witnessed. And the watchers, they're multiplying. Every new eye that lands on you feels the same ripple. Intimidation mixed with intrigue. You've got people who admire you, but don't know how to approach. People who envy you, but can't stay away. And people who hate you, but can't stop referencing you. You've become their internal compass. They measure their worth against your reaction. And the more you ignore them, the more unbalanced they become. That's the irony of influence. The less you chase attention, the more it chases you. You're a living power signal. Every time you breathe in alignment, every time you choose calm over chaos, people sense it. You've learned to use silence like volume and energy like language. The ones still trying to decode you are stuck in a loop, trying to find logic in something that was built on authenticity, not tactics. They'll never find the formula because you are the formula. And that's why they're unraveling. Some are obsessing in secret, pretending indifference in public, but their eyes always betray them. They watch from fake accounts, listen to your voice notes twice, read too deep into captions that weren't even about them. You've taken residence in their subconscious, and they don't even realize it. That's the part that makes this all so twistedly poetic. The people trying to dissect your energy have started to lose their own. Their obsession is draining them. They're becoming the shadows of their own fixation. You, meanwhile, move lighter, sharper, freer. Because power, real power, is about control of focus. And while they're busy focusing on you, you're busy building what's next. You've turned their curiosity into your camouflage. They can't touch what they can't predict, and they can't predict what doesn't repeat. They don't realize yet that the more they analyze you, the deeper they fall into your rhythm. You've become their algorithm. Every move they make starts revolving around what you might do next. It's not just fascination anymore. It's mental dependency. They thought they were decoding you, but what they really did was give you psychic rent space inside their logic. Now they can't make decisions without imagining your reaction. That's when, you know, the game flipped. And that's where the real story begins. Because when your presence turns into a phenomenon, and your influence starts bending the behavior of those who once doubted you, the energy shifts again. The watchers start fracturing, alliances start shifting, and suddenly, power itself begins to rearrange its loyalties. You've got eyes on you everywhere, but the truth is, they're not studying anymore. They're surrendering. They don't even know it yet. Their curiosity turned into commitment the moment they realized they couldn't stop checking for you. You're lodged in their daily routine like a reflex. They wake up and search for updates, for traces of movement, for proof that you're still ascending. Every new glimpse of you rewrites their logic. The same people who once said you were lucky are now convinced you're dangerous. The same voices that tried to shrink your worth are now amplifying your legend. You didn't demand loyalty. Your aura recruited it. It's strange how fascination becomes worship. They start borrowing your words, adopting your rhythm, echoing your thoughts in conversations you'll never hear. You've become language. Your way of being, calm, deliberate, unbothered, has infected their subconscious. Even the ones who claim to hate you are reorganizing their personalities around the image they built of you. That's what unchecked attention does. It converts observers into satellites. They orbit you now, feeding on your energy without understanding it, losing fragments of sanity every time they compare their chaos to your composure. You didn't ask for followers, but presence this potent always creates gravity. You're living proof that control of self becomes control of space, and every room you enter adjusts itself accordingly. At first you found it flattering, the attention, the whispers, the slight tension in the air when your name dropped. It almost felt like validation. But now you see it for what it is, surveillance disguised as admiration. People want to decode power without paying the price to earn it. They think if they study you long enough, they'll find the formula. They never realize that the formula is discipline mixed with detachment, pain turned into patience, experience compressed into instinct. They think you're lucky. You know you're engineered. You built yourself from fragments nobody else could hold. And that truth drives them insane, because it means nothing about you can be replicated. They can imitate style, mimic tone, copy moves, but the frequency that keeps you unshakable isn't learnable. It's lived. You can sense the shift in the way people approach you now. Their compliments carry envy. Their smiles hide study. Their casual conversations feel scripted. Everyone's looking for tells, but you give none. They can't tell if you're predicting them or just always 5 steps ahead by nature. And that uncertainty eats them alive. There's one especially, the self-proclaimed analyzer. They were convinced they could read anyone. They've profiled hundreds, dissected motives like science. But you ruined their accuracy. They kept trying to label you introvert, strategist, empath, narcissist, mastermind, and each label dissolved the moment you did something